Setagawa Masahiro hates TV heroes. He knew they'd never come to his rescue. He thought that his whole life until he met him. Masahiro was on the run from bullies. At the time, everyone on the street was talking about a mysterious guy who attacked gang members. He took down the bullies for whom Masahiro was an errand boy. They never met, but he became a hero to the guy. Masahiro graduates from high school. Along with him is his friend Ushiba Kensuk. They met by chance on the street when they discovered a suffering cat. Kensuk decided to take him in. They got into a conversation. Kensuk told him that his best friend had changed schools and they had stopped talking. He dragged the new acquaintance home. At this point, Kensuk realized that his brother would eliminate him for bringing the cat. His brother goes around dealing with bandits. Masahiro immediately realized who it was. Both were terrified. At the new school, it turns out that they'll be in a class with Kensuk's ex-friend Haskura Asaya. He is very popular and the girls, knowing that they were friends, asked Kensuk to find out if the guy has a girlfriend. Kensuk couldn't refuse them and didn't know what to do about it. In junior high school, they had a big fight. After class, Masahiro was called by Kusuk. He asked the boy to take care of his brother. On the way home, the guy saw some bullies looking for him. Kensuk at this time met up with his former friend. Asaya spoke to him very gently and offered to walk home together. Kensuk ran away from him. The bullies did not calm down. Masahiro wished Kusuk was around now. The girls continued to harass Kensuk and Asaya followed him. The boy ran out of the school and caught the attention of the ill-wishers. He and Masahiro started to run away. The boys hid, but they were quickly found. And then the hero showed up. Kusuk will now be their math teacher. Asaya changed schools because of his parents, but Kensuk felt betrayed and was rude to his friend. The second day of school, Kensuk wanted to skip, but he wasn't allowed to. Masahiro was looking forward to classes with Kusuk. As it turned out, over the years, the guy had become a sort of his underling. The girls never stopped bothering Kusuk. They were very angry with him. The boy could not dare to talk to Asaya. Masahiro was a little jealous that he had a friend he cared about so much. At the entrance of the school, Kusuk asked Asaya to take care of his little brother, but the guy ignored him. Kusuk knew something was wrong and even asked Masahiro about it. The gym teacher sent Kensuk to help Asaya with books. The boy tried to bring Masahiro along, but he ended up alone with his old friend. He didn't understand why Asaya was acting so calm. It pissed him off, and he yelled, asking why the guy had forgotten what had happened. Asaya said he hadn't and had always thought about him, dreaming of meeting. Even went to this school on purpose. He wanted to see his smile again. Overwhelmed by the reunion, Asaya almost kissed him, but a teacher walked in. Kensuk was happy. They were finally together again. Asaya was bullied as a child for looking like a girl, and Kensuk always defended him. On the way, a friend asked if Asaya had someone he likes. The guy said he doesn't. When he found out that girls were interested, he thought they were hitting on Kensuk like that, and it made him angry. Asaya lives alone and Kensuk wanted to visit him, but the guy said he couldn't. Kensuk still didn't realize that loved by. The next day, he asked again if he can visit, but Asaya said no. The guy was afraid he would do something to him. Kensuk kept insisting. Asaya dragged him away from people and kissed. When they were apart, he decided he would make the guy his own. He gave him a choice: sleep with him or stop communicating again. Kensuk dreamed that Asaya was hitting on him. They had just become friends again, and now the guy wants to sleep with him. On his way to school, Kensuk saw a girl next to Asaya and thought they were dating. He told Masahiro about his problem. The friend didn't know what to advise and assumed that Asaya was bullying him to avenge for the past. Kensuk thought that was the case and was happy because then they could continue to be friends. Kusuk was happy to see his brother in a good mood. Kensuk brought Masahiro for a threesome lunch. His friends do not feel very comfortable together. Asaya's jealousy is not noticed only by Kensuk. At the end, he couldn't stand it and brought Kensuk away. Kusuk advised Masahiro to stay out of their problems and not to worry about it. His brother can handle it. Asaya asked the guy again if he would sleep with him or if he prefers to go separate ways. Kensuk didn't want any of this. Asaya talked him into 5 minutes of touching. When he was done, he said that they definitely can't stay friends now. Kenuk didn't realize what was going on. Asaya kissed him and told him that he never saw him as a friend. The next day, Asaya didn't come to school. The next day, too, Kenuk started to worry. Masahiro told him that he shouldn't have left Asaya in the dark. Outside, the boys met Asaya's sister, who was searching for her brother. Kenuk couldn't stand it and ran to check on him. Asaya was in the hospital. The sister called him and he told her he had a cold. At his door, he saw Kenuk's backpack and went to look for the guy. When they met, Kenuk cried and said he felt bad when Asaya wasn't around. Asaya said he loves him and had been loving him all along. They woke up in the same bed. Kenuk finally understood his feelings. Many thanks to Thomas, Sherry, Vincent Green, and Virginia for supporting me on Patreon. Kusuk and Asaya's sister are at a bar discussing their brother's relationship. They believe that the boys will be fine. The man is not going to have a long talk with his friends tonight, as he has someone special waiting for him at home. The bartender notices that he's in a good mood. The boys' friends already know about their relationship since they've been cuddling all day. Asaya is annoyed that Kenuk talks about Masahiro a lot, but he quickly stopped being offended and suggested they go to the bathroom together. Kenuk couldn't refuse him. When they were done, Kusuk came home. Masahiro had prepared a lot of food. Everyone was having fun, but Asaya was getting jealous again. After everyone had eaten, Kusuk asked Masahiro to go to the store. The guy reacted strangely when he touched the man's hand, but pretended like it was nothing. Kusuk felt something too and followed him. They shopped together and chatted on the way home about the relationship between Asaya and Kenuk. Sensei was stroking the boy's head. At one point, he stopped on the street. Asaya, meanwhile, said he won't be jealous anymore since he knows the guy will be unhappy anyway. Kusuk said that Masahiro is jealous of his friend's relationship. He blames himself for this since he kept the guy close to him and turned a blind eye to his feelings. The guy didn't know what he was talking about. Kusuk continued. He said he can't accept Masahiro's feelings. The next day at work, Masahiro couldn't come to his senses. He tried to convince himself that he didn't feel anything and Kusuk was wrong. He was sure that he couldn't fall in love with a guy, and he couldn't understand why a man would say such a thing to a schoolboy. After work, he stood pondering outside and saw a man drop panties. Masahiro picked them up and the detective jumped on him. He thought the guy was the serial panty thief they were looking for. As it turned out, he was a friend of Kusuk. The teacher came and took Masahiro away. On the way, the man offered the guy to come to his house, but he left the car and ran to his house. Masahiro never got to sleep that night. In the morning at school, he felt exhausted. His friends were worried about him. Asaya said he felt sorry for the boy. When the teacher came into the classroom, Masahiro ran away. He was hungry as he had slept through lunch. He ran into some girls in the hallway and one of them gave him her sandwich. Kusuk saw this. When the guy was alone, he grabbed him and told him to stop running. Masahiro said he loves girls and the teacher is wrong about everything. The man pinned him against the wall and kissed. Then he told him to hurry up and find a girl. After class, Masahiro was terribly depressed. His friends didn't understand what was happening to him. The food looked terrible. The next day, he couldn't get the kiss out of his head. He hoped that the teacher was just joking with him and tried to forget about it. Kusuk came over and stroked his head as usual. Masahiro ran away from him. Someone was watching them. At school, Kenuk suggested they get together at his house and study together for a test. Masahiro couldn't refuse him. In the evening, it turned out that Kusuk wouldn't be home. Asaya wanted to go for a walk with Kenuk. He is annoyed by Masahiro's behavior. Meanwhile, at home, the brother's mom was showing the boy old photos. They have a lot of albums. Masahiro's mom never took pictures of him, but there were pictures of him in those albums. And, of course, pictures of Kusuk. Last year, their family had been to the temple, and the teacher there had left a plaque for Masahiro to make sure he got into a good high school. Woman left to clean the house, and the boy continued to look at the pictures. Kusuk came home and tried to kiss him. But Masahiro ran away. He didn't understand why his heart was beating so hard. Ever since Kusuk was a kid, he had always believed that he could solve any problem, but now he wasn't so sure. His friends noticed that something was wrong with him. Asaya's sister left and the man stayed with Detective Tsunehito. He immediately asked how things were going with that blonde boy. Kusuk said he was fine. Tsunehito said that by protecting the boy, the teacher is taking away something that can't be taken back. Kusuk doesn't think so. He spent a lot of time fighting the bullies, but they never ran out and many of them continued to bully. His actions were useless, but he was able to save one kid. He laughed at Masahiro's desire to become his subordinate, but he was glad to have inspired the kid. He was glad to take care of a lonely guy with family problems. The guy's sincere look saved the man the whole time. He even kissed him out of jealousy, but he's not going to tell him about it. Masahiro, meanwhile, is surrounded by bullies. He was really scared. They knew that the boy was now a subordinate of Kusuk, who had once defeated them. But it turns out they think the man is holding him hostage and forcing him to help. They want to team up with other gangs and take revenge on the teacher. Masahiro will have to try to find out the man's weaknesses and help them lure him out. They asked to run to the store for now and buy them snacks. The guy didn't know what to do and decided to remove himself from his friends and senpai for a while until the bullies calmed down. The next day he didn't even show up for his first class. And during lunch, he refused to eat with his friends and said he wouldn't be able to go out after school for a while. He met Kusuk in the hallway and said he wouldn't come to their house because of work. The brother's mom is a terrible cook. Only Kenuk mindlessly ate everything. He was worried about his friend. Masahiro regretted refusing to eat with him so rudely. At work, the boss also noticed that he was acting strange and worried that he was overworking. Asaya came there. As it turns out, he's a regular at the restaurant. He hadn't come for a long time because Masahiro was always cooking for his friends. Asaya glared at him and said he saw some unpleasant guys outside. Masahiro asked him not to tell Kusuk anything. Asaya doesn't understand these two. The teacher sat thoughtfully at the bar. He told the bartender about the student starting to avoid him. The man told him not to break the guy's heart. Kusuk didn't think it would work out that way. He pushed Masahiro with the hope that he would tell him everything he cared about instead of shutting him out. Kenuk didn't want to go to school because he was afraid his friend would refuse to eat lunch with him again. But Asaya convinced him not to skip out. The teacher was distracted and started making mistakes while checking students' tests. He also noticed that the boy was talking to someone unknown. Asaya is worried about Kenuk's condition. He asked Kusuk why he was inactive and told him to stop ignoring his own feelings. The man said he was right. Masahiro was lying in his room without strength. He couldn't help but think about his teacher. In a way, he even considered himself unworthy of him. He didn't know how much longer he would be able to live like this. The bullies called him, but the guy didn't want to answer. After that, someone started trying to open his door, and eventually that person broke his window and came in. Heroes come to the rescue at the last moment. Kusuk put him on the bed. The gangsters were looking for him. Kusuk, meanwhile, made Masahiro tell him what was going on. He yelled at the guy for taking everything upon himself and suffering. It hurts him to see someone he likes suffer. Masahiro said he rejected him himself. Kusuk said he just couldn't ask him out directly. Their conversation was interrupted by the doorbell. It was the bullies. Kusuk went over to them. The bullies attacked him and called for help. The teacher decided he would re-educate them all at once. There was a whole crowd against him. Asaya meanwhile told Kenuk that if the worst had already happened, Masahiro is desperate now. The bullies couldn't handle the man. One of the guys took an awl and wanted to attack him from behind, but Masahiro covered the senpai with his body. Kusuk was furious and almost did something bad, but the guy calmed him down. He also told the bullies that he was actually the teacher's subordinate and apologized. They told him not to show his face to them again. Kusuk bandaged the guy's wound and they hugged. Masahiro said that he would try to become worthy of the senpai because he loves him. Kusuk had wanted this confession for a long time. On the way out of the hospital, his friends were waiting for him. He told them he'd been in an accident. Things were finally getting better. His friends decided to throw a party in honor of his return. Masahiro was in the clouds and accidentally cleaned the house. Kusuk said he'd take care of him as soon as he was done working and offered to take a shower with him. Masahiro got very embarrassed and fell over. On the floor, Masahiro noticed a letter from Kusuk's former student. The man told him that he had rejected her and told off. He shaded the windows and kissed the boy. They moved to the bed and Kusuk asked the guy to be his wife-lover. Masahiro finally became the wife of the man he loves, but was very worried when a teacher hit on him right at school. Kusuk took offense to it. The guy decided to tell his friend's boyfriend about the problem. Asaya suggested that he continue to suffer. Masahiro wanted to ask the man to stop molesting at school, but didn't know how to say so. When he entered the teacher's lounge, he saw a girl next to Kusuk and ran away. Then he heard that she was in love with the teacher and was going to confess her feelings to him. Masahiro and Kusuk went home together. The man's stomach was rumbling as he doesn't have time to eat lunch these days. They passed by a pet store and decided to stop by to buy some cat food. Masahiro is very fond of animals. Kusuk watched the guy having fun with a smile. There was one dog that Masahiro liked in particular. Unfortunately, he couldn't take him home because of his mother. When they went outside, it was already dark. At home, they found tons of food. The friends had a new cook while Masahiro was away. Masahiro felt bad about being replaced, but his friends comforted him and told that the new guy would be his assistant. At some point, everyone started discussing what kind of girls Masahiro likes. Kusuk heard all this and came over to tease his boyfriend's wife. Kenuk noticed that there was something between his brother and Masahiro, so he left them alone. The teacher was offended because the guy was kissing animals. He said his mood would probably get better if Masahiro finally took the initiative. The guy tried, but it didn't work out. Kusuk said that was enough and took no more offense. In the morning, Masahiro made lunch for his lover. At school, Kenuk congratulated him on becoming his brother's girlfriend. He was told everything by Asaya. Masahiro tried to sneak the lunch, but his friends smelled the food and guessed everything. In any case, when he got to the teacher's room, he saw the girl handing the lunch to the teacher and ran away. In the evening, Asaya advised Kusuk to be more careful at school. But the man said that secrets are not good and Masahiro is pushing himself too hard. Later, he called the boy to his house. When Masahiro entered, he saw the teacher eating the lunch he had prepared. His friends handed it to him, and he was hungry because he wouldn't eat what the girl had prepared. He told her he only eats the bento his wife had made. Masahiro apologized for not giving it to him sooner. Kusuk said that apology wasn't enough and the guy kissed him. The teacher said he would never forget this day and then showed him a new friend. He bought a dog that Masahiro liked. At school, Kusuk can't wait to touch Masahiro. Meanwhile, friends are preparing to have a barbecue at his and Kensuk's house. A teacher calls Masahiro and asks him to come over to help with something. One of the friends started to suspect that there was something between them, but Asaya saved the situation. After class, the head boy was checking lockers. Masahiro and Kusuk walked by. It's hard for them because they can't see each other often. The guy couldn't resist and kissed the teacher. The man knew they were being watched, but he couldn't resist as Masahiro took the initiative for the first time. The guy got a headache from the stress. Depressed head boy came to the friends. He told them what he had seen at school. No one was surprised except Mitsuru. He said it was disgusting. Kensuk got angry at his words and sent him away. Masahiro, who was standing at the entrance, heard all this. Asaya scolded the guy for not paying attention, and the barbecue had to be cancelled because of this situation. Asaya said that Mitsuru loves Masahiro with the kind of love that annoys him. For Masahiro, Mitsuru was the first friend after Kensuk, but now the friendship is over. The guy was disturbed by this and told the teacher about the situation. Kusuk comforted him and told to make his friend stop ignoring him and tell him everything. After that, he wanted to kiss the guy, but changed his mind. Mitsuru hasn't met with our group of friends for a few days now. He doesn't like his new friends. He met a guy who helps Masahiro cook sometimes and told him what happened. Yuyusei advised him not to lose his friend because of his stubbornness. Outside, Mitsuru ran into Masahiro and wanted to run away, but the guy stopped him and told what was on his mind. Mitsuru apologized and said he couldn't accept that such a cool guy was dating an old man. He accidentally said that it was disgusting and got kicked out for it. He was very hurt. Masahiro understood his feelings and they made up, but Kensuk said that bad boys eat outside. Kusuk accidentally let it slip that he knew they were being seen when Masahiro kissed him. The man was kicked out on the street for that too. But it's good that it ended well. No one but the class president wants to do homework. The teacher is interfering with his wife's cooking in the meantime. Masahiro doesn't want to kiss while his friends are around, so Kusuk dragged him into the car and took away. They arrived at the motel. The guy was shocked that his teacher dragged him there, but the man said he wouldn't do anything. They lay in bed together. Kusuk was happy to be lying in the arms of his lover like this. Filled with happiness, they both fell asleep. They slept until the morning and Masahiro was worried about what others would think. At school, Kusuk was discussing student counseling with a colleague. The woman said that the principal would call him soon. Friends at the time asked where Masahiro had been missing with Kusuk all night. The boy said they were at a restaurant. Mitsuru advised him to be careful not to let others know about their relationship, because then the teacher would be fired. Masahiro was alarmed by his words. At that moment, Kusuk came into the classroom and said that someone had found out about them. It was the man's friends, the detective and Asaya's sister. They are married. The woman said that Kusuk is doing wrong and should be arrested. Masahiro is just a victim, so he has nothing to worry about. He just needs to testify, and then maybe it won't be so bad. Masahiro tried to justify the teacher, and as it turned out, it was just a test. Friends praised the guy. They're just worried about Kusuk. Masahiro became even more anxious and ran away. The detective told the teacher to take care of the guy. One of the teachers also noticed that Kusuk and Masahiro are close. She admires the man's ability to find common ground with students. Kusuk decided to check on the boy. Masahiro stayed up all night. The teacher called and asked to reschedule the counseling for tomorrow. He couldn't turn a blind eye to the fact that his wife wasn't feeling well. In the car, he asked him what was wrong, but the guy wouldn't say anything. Kusuk brought him to a place with a beautiful view and offered to come here together when there was a meteor shower. Masahiro continued to remain silent. When the teacher tried to take his hand, the boy pushed him away. He was in his school uniform and was afraid they would get in trouble. Kusuk said he doesn't care about work and only cares about Masahiro. But the guy wouldn't forgive himself if the man got fired. He ran away. Kusuk is hurt by what happened. He already knows he could lose everything because of his relationship with the student. The bartender said that the man is really careless, wants to keep the guy to himself, but at the same time show off. Kusuk was angered by his words. Masahiro's mom was waiting for him at home, but he silently went to his room and shut the door. He is very sorry for everything. He loves the teacher very much. Mitsuru saw Kusuk walk into the principal's office. He and Asaya heard the man being told that his job as a temporary teacher was over. The guys immediately told the others about what they heard. They figured that the principal had found out about the teacher's relationship with the student. Masahiro didn't show up today. He couldn't figure out what to do with his feelings. His friends had written to him about the situation. What he was most afraid of had happened, and it was all because of him. Kenuk saw him running to school, ran to him and dragged to a quiet place. Masahiro was on his way to the principal's office and wanted to leave the school hoping that it would save the teacher. But Kenuk explained that they had it all wrong and Kusuk had just been promoted to permanent teacher. Kenuk offered to throw a surprise party for him, and they agreed to discuss it at Asaya's house. Masahiro wanted to be happy, but couldn't. His friends noticed that he was late. When he arrived, he looked sad. Masahiro is now even more worried since Kusuk is now a full-time teacher, and he doesn't want the man to lose the job. Asaya told the guy to talk to the teacher about it. Masahiro said that doesn't want to drag the man down with his stupid problems. Asaya asked what he would do if Kusuk suggested breaking up. Masahiro said he would agree. Asaya said the guy is just used to having decisions made for him. Masahiro got upset and left. Kusuk wanted to please the guy with the news of promotion, but realized that he would make him worse. The detective didn't understand why the man looked sad, even though his dream of becoming a teacher had come true. He realized it was because of the guy, but Kusuk had always been optimistic before. At a stoplight, the man got out of car and went somewhere. They missed each other. Masahiro ran over to the bar where Kusuk usually hangs out. The guy told the bartender about his worries. The man said that Masahiro had attracted the teacher with his eyes begging for help, as he could never pass by the suffering and helpless. But now he was no longer a hero, as he was only hurting the boy. Masahiro asked what to do and the bartender told him it would be better to break up. The guy ran outside. Kenuk told his brother about his fight with Masahiro. Kusuk felt guilty. Masahiro was still walking in the rain and called him. He congratulated him on his promotion and told him to move forward and thanked him for everything. Kusuk asked if this was the end, and the guy threw the phone away. Masahiro has been out all night. He has to get used to life without a teacher. He met brother's mom on the street, and she suggested that they go shopping together. He didn't know what to say, and Kenuk told her that they needed to talk in private. He apologized for yesterday and offered to continue talking about the surprise. Masahiro said they had broken up and left. Kusuk left a letter for him. After that, he found the guy and asked how long he wanted to break up. Masahiro was silent, and the teacher suggested that they go out together to buy food for the cat. Kusuk had no idea what kind of food to buy. Masahiro always did that. The man offered him to look at the pets, but the guy said he would wait outside. It was hard for him because of the good memories. Kusuk said that couldn't let him go, and that yesterday he wanted to ask if this was the end of meaningless breakup talk, not the end of the relationship. He asked if the guy was really ready to break up and offered to talk about it tomorrow during Stargazing. Masahiro has already made up his mind. He doesn't want to suffer anymore because of this relationship. The guy woke up only in the evening. His mom said that he cried in his sleep and that he got a letter. Masahiro wanted to throw it away, but decided to read it. The contents of the letter made him cry. Kusuk told how he always wanted to make his boyfriend feel good and couldn't imagine life without him. The stargazing began. Masahiro prayed to the stars to let him see his teacher one more time. Asaya wished to always be together with Kenuk. When Masahiro arrived, the stargazing was over, but the teacher was waiting for him. The boy said he loves him and doesn't want to break up again. They both started crying and kissed. Kusuk is neither hero nor villain. He was just born a little early. He gave the guy a ring. Things are finally getting better.